Now let me tell y'all something. Everybody wants respect, right? But here's the truth. Respect ain't something you can beg for, and it sure ain't something you can steal. You don't walk into a room and holler, "Respect me," and suddenly everybody bows down. Now it don't work like that. Respect is something people choose to give you, and the crazy part is, it's usually decided in the first couple minutes they meet you. Think about that. 2 minutes in, folks already know if they're going to take you serious or not. Now, don't get it twisted. Respect ain't about having the biggest title, the fattest wallet, or the fanciest car parked outside. Respect is about presence. It's about how you move, how you talk, how you treat people, even the ones who can't do a thing for you. And see, psychology, man, it's got a way of breaking this thing down. There are little switches, little secrets in the mind that make people say, "You know what? I got to respect this person." I'm going to share with you 5 of those secrets today. And I ain't talking about no gimmicks, no tricks. No. Let me manipulate people to like me. No. I'm talking about real down to earth shifts you can make that change the way folks look at you, talk to you, and deal with you. Because if you can understand how respect really works, it don't just change how people treat you. It changes how you treat yourself. See, the goal ain't just getting folks to clap for you. The goal is walking into your life every single day like you belong there, like you know your value, and like you ain't got to shrink or beg for anybody's approval. Once you lock in these 5 secrets, you won't just demand respect, you'll attract it. And that, my friends, is where the real power lies. Respect starts with how you carry yourself, not how loud you demand it. See, a lot of people think if they just stomp around, raise their voice, or flex their position, people are going to fall in line. But the truth is, the louder you yell for respect, the more folks realize you don't really have it. Respect is quiet. Respect is steady. Respect is in the way you walk into a room and don't need to explain yourself, because your presence speaks before your mouth does. When people look at you, they feel it. They feel whether you believe in yourself or whether you're scrambling to make them believe something you don't even buy. Now, here's what I learned: that respect starts from the inside. You can't convince people to treat you better than you treat yourself. You walk around slouched over, eyes down, mumbling your words, people pick up on that. They say, "Oh, this person doesn't think much of themselves. Why should I?" On the flip side, when you carry yourself with confidence, not arrogance, but confidence, your body tells a story before your mouth even opens. You're saying, "I know who I am, and I don't need to prove it." That's powerful. Think about it. When someone steps on a stage or even just walks into a meeting, you know right away if you can respect them. Not because they demanded it, but because they carried themselves like they had earned it. Shoulders back, head up, voice steady. They ain't fidgeting. They ain't apologizing for taking up space. They just show up like they belong. That's the first secret of respect: presence. You don't chase it, you project it. Now, let me tell you why so many people miss this. We live in a world where everybody's trying to prove something. Folks post pictures online just to shout, "Look at me, I'm winning." They buy cars they can't afford, clothes they don't even like, all because they want somebody to say, "Wow, you must be important." But here's the catch. When your respect depends on other people's approval, you're already losing. The minute they stop clapping, you stop believing in yourself. That's shaky ground. Real respect ain't rented from an audience, it's built from the inside out. And psychology backs this up. People pick up signals unconsciously. Your tone of voice, your posture, your eye contact, all of that communicates how you feel about yourself. If you look nervous, unsure, apologetic, people read that in seconds. If you look calm, collected, secure, people respect that instantly, even if they don't agree with you. That's why some folks can walk into a room and never say a word, and everybody still knows there's somebody worth paying attention to. Let me give you an example. Think about the people in your life who you respect the most. It might be a teacher, a coach, a boss, or even a family member. Chances are they didn't have to scream or threaten you to get your respect. They carried themselves with consistency. They were steady. You saw how they handled themselves, how they treated others, how they spoke, and you thought, Yeah, that's someone I can follow. That's the power of carrying yourself with dignity. It draws respect without you ever asking for it. But let me be real with you. This ain't always easy. Some of y'all grew up in environments where respect wasn't given to you. You had to fight for every ounce of it. And because of that, you might have learned to come out swinging, to defend yourself before anybody had a chance to disrespect you. I get that. But here's the truth: when you're always fighting to be respected, you don't leave space to actually embody respect. You're too busy trying to control what others think instead of owning how you carry yourself. And people can feel that tension. The shift happens when you stop worrying about whether everybody likes you or agrees with you, and you start focusing on how you show up every single day. Are you reliable? Do you keep your word? Do you walk with purpose? Do you make eye contact when you speak? Do you stand tall even when life tries to push you down? Those small things matter more than any big speech you could give demanding respect, because people may not remember every word you say, but they'll remember the impression of how you carried yourself in their presence. Respect is not about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the voice people want to listen to. And sometimes it's not even about talking at all. Sometimes it's just how you handle yourself in silence. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. Do you lose it or keep calm? Somebody tries to embarrass you in front of a crowd. Do you crumble or hold your ground with dignity? Every reaction you have is a message about who you are. And the way you carry yourself in those moments, those little tests of character, is where respect is either built or lost. So the first secret is simple, but it takes discipline. You don't chase respect. You don't beg for it. You don't demand it at the top of your lungs. You build it by how you stand, how you walk, how you talk, and how you treat yourself. People are always watching, even when you think they ain't. And before they ever decide whether to respect you, they're already reading how much respect you've got for yourself. People mirror what they feel from you. Give dignity. Get dignity. That's one of the deepest truths about respect. Most folks walk around thinking respect is a one-way street. They want it coming their way, but they never stop to ask, what am I putting out there? And life just doesn't work like that. Human beings by nature reflect energy back. You walk into a room cold, dismissive, treating people like they don't matter. And don't be surprised when that energy finds its way back to you. On the other hand, when you carry yourself with dignity and treat others with dignity, it sets off this chain reaction where people feel they have no choice but to respond in kind. See, psychology has this thing called mirroring. It's when people unconsciously copy each other's body language, tone, or mood. You smile at somebody, most times they're going to smile back even if they didn't plan to. You come in angry, tense, sharp with your words, and suddenly the whole atmosphere is heavy, and people push that same energy right back at you. Respect works the same way. When you show up treating folks like they're beneath you, they don't respect you, they resent you. But when you show up making people feel valued, seen, and acknowledged, they respect you because you gave them something real first. Think about the people you admire most. They don't walk around belittling others to look big. They don't step on people's dignity just to prove they got power. Now, the people you truly respect are usually the ones who can look you in the eye, call you by your name, and make you feel like you matter. They don't have to do it, but they choose to. And that choice is what separates them. That's why you respect them, not just for their success, but for the way they make you feel in their presence. I'll tell you something I've seen over and over again. The quickest way to lose respect is to treat people like they don't count. I don't care if it's the waiter at the restaurant, the security guard at the door, or the person answering phones in an office. The way you treat the so-called small people tells the world everything about your character. Folks watch that. You might think nobody notices, but trust me, they do. And the funny thing is, the people you overlook often end up having the power to open or close doors for you. That's why it's so important to lead with dignity, because dignity creates respect that lasts. Now let me flip it. Sometimes people think showing dignity to others makes them look weak, like they're giving away too much power. But let me tell you something. That's backward thinking. Dignity ain't weakness. Dignity is strength under control. When you can show honor to someone else, especially when you don't have to, it speaks louder than anything you could say about yourself. Because when you give respect, you're not losing any. You're multiplying it. You're planting seeds in people's hearts that make them want to reflect that same energy back to you. It's like this: when you talk down to somebody, you might get compliance, but you won't get respect. They might do what you say, but behind your back, they're rolling their eyes, waiting for the day they don't have to deal with you. But when you talk to someone with dignity, even if you're correcting them, even if you're setting boundaries, they walk away thinking, that person handled me right. And that sticks with them. That's how loyalty and true respect are built. I've seen this play out in leadership time and time again. The best leaders ain't the ones barking orders. The best leaders are the ones who make people feel capable, who make them feel valued, who make them feel like they're part of something. When people feel that dignity from you, they work harder, they stand taller. They respect you not because they have to, but because they want to. That's the kind of respect that lasts, the kind that can't be faked. And here's another truth: people are mirrors. Yes, but they're also magnifiers. Meaning, the way you treat them doesn't just come back. It comes back multiplied. You give dignity, and suddenly people don't just give it back. They tell others about you. They vouch for you. They protect your name in rooms you're not even in. But if you give out disrespect, that multiplies too. People warn others about you. They carry stories about how you made them feel. And before long, your reputation takes a hit. Respect builds reputations, and reputations open doors or close them. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with strangers, co-workers, friends, or family. Human beings crave to be treated like they matter. That's universal. And when you're the person who makes others feel that way, you automatically stand out. You don't have to beg for respect because you've already shown people how it's done. You've set the standard by giving it first. And people feel that, they remember it, and most importantly, they return it. So the secret is simple, but powerful people mirror what they feel from you. You can't show up dismissive, bitter, or arrogant and expect to be met with honor. But if you can give dignity freely without keeping score, you'll find that dignity boomerangs right back into your life, stronger than when you sent it out. That's the kind of respect that isn't forced, it's earned. Confidence without arrogance makes people lean in instead of push away. See, there's a fine line between walking in confidence and stumbling into arrogance. And people can feel that difference instantly. Confidence says, I know my worth, I know what I bring, and I'm not afraid to stand on it. Arrogance says, I think I'm better than you, and you need to know it. And let me tell you, one draws people closer while the other pushes them as far away as possible. You might get attention being arrogant, but you'll never get respect. When somebody is confident, it's magnetic. You can't help but notice them, and you don't even know why. They walk in calm, they speak clear, they don't apologize for existing, and they don't overcompensate either. You can tell they've done the inner work to know they belong in whatever room they're in. Arrogant people, on the other hand, are loud in all the wrong ways. They need to tell you what they've done, what they own, who they know, and why they're important. And you know what happens? The louder they talk about themselves, the less anybody believes them. Respect evaporates because nobody wants to follow a person who spends all their time proving they're above everyone else. Confidence is rooted in security. Arrogance is rooted in insecurity. A confident person can walk into a conversation and actually listen. They don't feel the need to outshine everyone or dominate the room because they're already comfortable in who they are. Arrogant people can't do that. They interrupt, they brag, they talk over others because deep down they're scared of being overlooked. And that fear shows. People can smell it. That's why arrogance never feels powerful, it feels exhausting. But confidence feels strong and people lean toward it because it gives them a sense of safety and trust. Think about it like this. If you're on a plane and the pilot comes over the speaker, you don't want to hear somebody screaming, I'm the best pilot in the world. Nobody can fly like me. Don't you dare question me. That's arrogance. It doesn't make you feel safe. It makes you wonder what they're hiding. But if that pilot comes on calm, steady, and simply says, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a smooth flight today. I've got you covered. That confidence relaxes everybody on board. You respect that voice because it doesn't need to prove anything. It's sure of itself. That's the difference. Now let's be real. Confidence doesn't mean perfection. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to have all the answers. And you don't have to walk around like life never shakes you. Confidence is not about never falling. It's about knowing you can get back up when you do. Arrogance pretends to be untouchable. And people see through that. Nobody believes someone who acts like they've never failed, never struggled, never doubted themselves. That ain't human. But when you show confidence, you can admit your mistakes. You can say, I don't know yet. And people still respect you because they know you're real. I've seen people with half the credentials of their peers, half the experience, but they rise to the top because of confidence. They don't walk in comparing themselves or apologizing for being there. They walk in and own their spot at the table. And folks around them lean in, thinking, if they believe in themselves that much, maybe I should believe in them too. That's the ripple effect of true confidence. It's contagious. But arrogance kills connection. You ever been around somebody who can't stop talking about themselves? Every story they tell, they're the hero. Every conversation, they twist it back to their success. After a while, you don't respect them, you avoid them. Because arrogance builds walls where confidence builds bridges. And if you want people to respect you, you got to be a bridge builder. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Confidence doesn't need to shout. Confidence whispers. Confidence walks in quietly and still gets noticed. Arrogance has to scream because it's afraid nobody's listening. That's why you got to check yourself. Ask yourself, am I showing up secure in who I am? Or am I trying to prove I'm better than everybody else? Because one opens doors and the other slams them shut. And let me tell you, people respect confidence not just in the big moments, but in the small ones too. When life throws chaos your way, when something doesn't go your way, how do you respond? Do you panic, lash out, blame everyone else? Or do you hold steady, breathe, and handle it with composure? That composure is confidence. And people remember it. They'll say, I don't know how they stayed so calm, but I respect it. Arrogance falls apart under pressure because arrogance is fragile, but confidence is durable. It lasts because it's built on truth. Confidence without arrogance is a balance. And it's one of the most attractive, respectable qualities a person can have. People want to follow someone who believes in themselves, but still makes room for others. People respect someone who can shine without dimming everyone else's light. And when you walk in that balance, you don't just earn respect, you inspire it. Listening deeply earns more respect than talking endlessly. Now, that might sound simple, but let me tell you, it's one of the hardest things for people to do. Everybody loves the sound of their own voice. Everybody wants to get their point across, show what they know, drop their wisdom, make sure the room hears them. But here's the truth. Respect isn't always given to the one who talks the most. Respect often goes to the one who listens the best. Because when you listen, you're telling somebody, you matter. Your words count. I value what you've got to say. And that makes people feel respected, which makes them turn that respect right back toward you. Think about it. You've been in conversations where somebody just talks and talks, never asking you a single question, never pausing long enough to hear your thought. After a while, you tune them out. You might even start to feel invisible, like your role is just to nod along while they put on a show. Do you respect that person? Probably not. You might respect their knowledge, but you don't respect their character. Because real respect requires exchange, not monologue. And deep listening is where that exchange starts. Listening deeply is more than keeping quiet while the other person talks. Anybody can be silent and still be planning their next response. Deep listening is about being present. It's about putting down your phone, looking someone in the eye, leaning in, and actually caring about what they're saying. It's about not rushing to jump in with advice, not trying to fix everything right away. but just hearing them out. People can tell the difference. They know when you're listening to reply and when you're listening to understand. And the ones who listen to understand, those are the people that get respect. Here's the funny thing. When you give someone your full attention, they remember it. You might forget half of what you talked about, but they'll never forget the feeling of being heard. And that's rare these days. In a world where everybody's competing for attention, the person who slows down and listens deeply stands out. They become memorable. And respect always follows memorability because people respect what they can't easily forget. Let me give you an example. Say you're at work and you've got a boss who never listens. You bring up an idea, and before you finish the first sentence, they're already talking over you with their own plan. You try to share a concern, and they dismiss it without a second thought. Over time, you stop speaking up. You stop bringing ideas. And little by little, you stop respecting them. Not because they don't have authority, but because they don't have the humility to listen. On the other hand, think about a leader who looks you in the eye, takes in your words, asks you questions, and really considers what you're saying. Even if they don't use your idea, you respect them because they respected you first by listening. And it's not just about work. It's about relationships, friendships, family. How many arguments could be solved if people just listened deeply instead of trying to win? Half the time, people don't even need you to solve their problem. They just need you to hear it. And when you listen not with judgment, but with empathy, it diffuses tension. Respect grows in those moments because you showed you care enough to pause your world for theirs. Here's where psychology comes in. Human beings have a deep need to feel significant. We all want to matter. Listening taps into that need. When someone feels like you really get them, you've given them one of the greatest gifts you can offer. And they don't forget that. They hold it close. And in return, they see you as someone worth respecting, not because you're perfect or because you always agree, but because you honored their humanity through the act of listening. Now don't get it twisted. Listening doesn't mean you're weak. Some people think if I just sit back and listen, folks will think I don't have anything to say. Wrong. The opposite is true. Listening gives weight to your words when you finally do speak. Because when people see that you've taken time to understand, when you've let them fully express themselves, your response carries more power. They know you're not just throwing out an opinion. You're speaking with awareness. And that awareness commands respect. It's like being around someone who talks nonstop versus someone who speaks rarely but wisely. Which one do people respect more? Usually, it's the latter. Because silence and listening give depth. They show discipline. Anybody can talk endlessly. It takes strength to hold your tongue and listen. And people respect strength that's under control. The truth is, listening deeply isn't easy because it requires humility. It means admitting the world doesn't revolve around your voice. It means valuing someone else's perspective enough to stop pushing your own for a moment. And that humility is magnetic. People are drawn to it. They lean in to someone who makes them feel seen and heard. That's how bonds are built, and bonds are the foundation of respect. So if you want people to respect you, don't just work on being the smartest talker in the room. Work on being the best listener, because in the end, folks don't remember every clever thing you said, but they remember how you made them feel. And nothing makes people feel more respected than being truly listened to. Boundaries are silent proof that you value yourself. See, you can talk all day about self-respect. You can post quotes about self-love. You can tell the world how much you know your worth. But none of that really matters if you don't set boundaries. Boundaries are where all that talk becomes real. Boundaries say, this is how far you can go with me. This is what I accept. This is what I will not tolerate. And let me tell you, people might not always like your boundaries, but they will respect them. Because boundaries are not about keeping people out, they're about keeping yourself intact. The problem is, a lot of folks are scared to set boundaries. They think if they say no, if they draw a line, people are going to get mad, walk away, or think they're difficult. And maybe some will. But here's the thing. If somebody can't handle your boundaries, it's because they were benefiting from you not having any. The people who really respect you will adjust. They'll honor the limits you put in place because they see it as a sign of self-worth. And when you show you value yourself, other people take the cue to value you too. Now here's where the silent part comes in. You don't have to announce your boundaries to the world. You don't have to give speeches about them. Boundaries are felt more than spoken. It's in how you carry yourself, how you respond, and what you refuse to entertain. You don't have to tell people, I won't let you disrespect me. They figure that out when they try it and see you don't stick around for it. You don't have to say, I won't be taken advantage of. They learn it when you stop doing extra favors for people who never give anything back. Boundaries don't always need a big explanation. They show up in action. Respect and boundaries go hand in hand. When you don't have boundaries, you invite disrespect, not because people are always malicious, but because people test limits. It's human nature. If you let someone slide once, they'll think they can slide again. If you keep giving without ever saying no, they'll keep taking. And after a while, you'll start to feel used, resentful, maybe even invisible. But the truth is, you trained people how to treat you. You taught them by what you allowed. Boundaries retrain the world on what's acceptable in your life. And it doesn't take a big scene. Sometimes it's as small as saying, I can't make it tonight, I need some rest. Or, that joke makes me uncomfortable, don't say that to me again. Or, I'm not available after work hours. These might feel like small things, but they are powerful statements of self-respect. They tell people, my time, my energy, my peace, they matter. And people who see you value those things will start respecting them too. What's interesting is that psychology shows boundaries actually make relationships healthier. At first, people think boundaries push others away, but the truth is they build clarity. They let people know what lane they can drive in with you, and that keeps things smoother. Without boundaries, relationships get messy, full of unspoken resentment and confusion. With boundaries, everybody knows where they stand. And when people know where they stand, they feel safer. Respect grows in that safety. Think about someone in your life who never stands up for themselves. They let people walk all over them. They say yes when they mean no. They laugh off disrespect because they're afraid of confrontation. You might feel sorry for them, but do you really respect them? Probably not. Now think about someone who carries themselves with quiet strength. They're kind, they're giving, but they don't let people cross certain lines. You respect them instantly because their boundaries show you they know their value. And when someone knows their value, you don't question it. Now, don't confuse boundaries with walls. A wall says nobody gets in. A boundary says you can come in, but only this far. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about protecting your energy so you can show up fully where it matters most. Without boundaries, you burn out. With boundaries, you thrive. And thriving people earn respect because they're not running on empty, they're not resentful, they're not exhausted from trying to please everybody. They've got balance. And balance looks like strength. Sometimes the hardest boundaries to set are with the people closest to you, family, friends, loved ones. That's because emotions are deep there. You don't want to hurt feelings. You don't want to cause drama. But those are the boundaries that matter most. If you let the people closest to you drain you, disrespect you, or cross lines, eventually it spills over into every part of your life. Setting those boundaries may feel uncomfortable, but the respect that comes afterward is worth it. You teach them how to love you better by showing them where the lines are. And let's be honest, boundaries don't always get applause. Some folks will test them. Some will call you selfish or difficult. But over time, even those same people will respect you for standing firm, because deep down, everybody wishes they had the courage to set their own. When they see you do it, they may not like it in the moment, but they'll remember it. They'll adjust to it. And in their own way, they'll respect you more for it. So remember, respect doesn't always come from big speeches, flashy success, or loud demands. Sometimes it comes quietly through the invisible lines you draw in your life. Boundaries are that quiet proof that you honor yourself,